Howdy folks, and welcome to the Hillbilly Kitchen. Today we're making a one-pot skillet chicken and rice meal. Now this is perfect for a weeknight dinner, and there's a whole bunch of variations, and I'm going to go over quite a few of them with you while I'm doing this. But what we need for a family of 4 to 6 is about a pound of diced up chicken breast. And this is about 1.5 boneless chicken breasts. Got them on sale and diced them up, and a medium onion. And you cut it whatever size you want. If you like it bigger, cut it bigger. And you need about 2 tablespoons of butter, and we're going to brown this in the butter. Now we got to have something to cook our rice in, because this is chicken and rice. I've got a cup of long grain rice, and I have some Better Than bouillon. You can use that. You can use broth, or you can use the old-fashioned bouillon cubes like your mom and your grandma use, because these are super cheap. But you need 2 cups of it. So whether you're going to use the Better Than bouillon or the broth or the bouillon cubes, you need 2 cups of liquid for your 1 cup of long grain rice. And we need some salt and pepper at the very least to go in our chicken. And you can put in cheese or leave out cheese, about 8 ounces of cheese, and it's up to you. This dish is really good with or without cheese. My mother used to make it all the time, and we never had cheese in it when I was a kid. But any shredded cheese will work. And you need 8 to 12 ounces, maybe even a pound of vegetables, fresh, frozen, canned. You can use broccoli, which I have here. You could use broccoli and cauliflower. If you had a bag of the frozen, you could use peas and carrots if your kids won't eat broccoli. If they won't eat that, you could use green beans and corn in this. So anyway, we're going to start by heating up our skillet. Dump the butter in there. And you really want your pan kind of hot before you put your fat in there. That will keep what you're cooking from sticking, if you kind of preheat your pan a little before you put anything in it. And I could have actually preheated mine a little bit more, but that's okay. If you want to brown your chicken in something else, you can use a different fat, but the butter adds a lot of flavor. This is, perfect for a weeknight, because we're going to cook this in about 30 minutes start to finish, which means it's faster probably than going and getting takeout. And it's certainly cheaper. I know the price of groceries is just ridiculously high. So kind of using things that are on sale is really going to help stretch our budgets and feed our family. I got this chicken, it was $3 a pound. Normally boneless chicken breast is about $6 a pound, and I expect with what I've been hearing on TV, it's probably going to get up even higher than that. But the package that I bought, I think it was like $16, and you could probably make at least 4 meals out of it. Like this, putting it in a skillet meal or a casserole. And that's kind of the stuff that we're going to have to do, is chop it up. If you have eaten takeout though, like in a Mexican restaurant or something, the chicken that they use at the Mexican restaurant is almost shredded. The pieces are so small, and you get a whole lot of rice and just a little bit of chicken in your dishes. So anyway, that's kind of the idea here. And you can see this is plenty enough to feed 4, even 5 or 6 people, and they're going to have enough chicken. And if you have to feed more people, cut it up in smaller pieces like the Mexican restaurant does, and it'll spread out in the dish more. We're going to dump our onion and our chicken in there, because our chicken's in small pieces and it's not going to take it long to cook. Just make sure you got your skillet good and hot. And you can marinate that chicken in a little buttermilk or lemon juice or pickle juice or something if you want to. But it's pretty small pieces, so you're not really going to have to worry about tenderizing it. But a little pickle juice or buttermilk or something does kind of give it a good flavor. Okay, I'm just going to add a little salt and pepper to my chicken and my onion here while it's cooking. Don't do too much salt, because whether you use the Better Than bouillon or the cubes or the broth, they all just about have salt added to them. Now you're going to have salt, of course, for your rice and your vegetables. So over salting it's going to be pretty tough at this point, but you could just be careful with it. be aware you're going to be adding some salt. Now you can add any seasonings in here you want. I'm keeping this very basic. You can certainly add garlic. You could do a little bit of hot pepper flakes or something if you wanted it spiced up. I like the chicken and rice dishes kind of basic unless I'm doing something like a Mexican dish or something, and that's not what this is going to be. This is going to be just a really simple chicken and rice, one pot chicken and rice skillet meal that you can get on the table in 30 minutes. So you can feed them on a weeknight without spending a fortune, and you know, maybe have $4.50 worth of chicken in here. The broccoli I also got on sale. It was less than $2. And the cheese I got for a couple of dollars. So you can make this meal, even with today's prices, for less than $10 and feed your whole family. If you're trying to get this done in a hurry, use a lid even while you're kind of cooking your rice and your chicken. It will make it cook quicker, and it also kind of holds some of that moisture and flavor from the chicken in there, which I think makes the whole meal better. My mama always used a lid when she made her chicken and rice skillet. Okay, we've cut our chicken in small pieces, so it really is not going to take long at all for it to cook. And you can cook this until it gets really brown if you want to, or like I said, you can leave some of this juice in here so you have that flavor in there. Now, it's going to have a different flavor if you leave some of the juice from the chicken in there than it does if you cook it and you let everything get brown in the bottom of the skillet. But here's another little trick you can do. If we put our rice in here, even though we have all this liquid in here, our rice is going to soak that liquid up pretty quick, and it's going to kind of toast our rice. So you're going to get that flavor, only you're going to get it a whole lot quicker if you do it this way. And a lot of people rinse their rice. I do not rinse my rice. It's supposed to remove some of the starch from it. I've never done it. I like it cooked just the way it is. But if you want to rinse your rice, rinse your rice. Anyway, just kind of divide your chicken there and pour your rice in the middle and let it start cooking and soak up some of that liquid. And we'll let everything kind of brown just a little bit before we add our broth to it. And no, you're not going to have to worry about it having too much liquid in it, because by the time we get done cooking it, and you know, we do the cheese and everything, which the cheese is optional. If you don't want the cheese, don't put the cheese in there. It will soak all the liquid up and it will still be a really good consistency. And I think it has a little more flavor doing it this way. And it's faster if you don't wait until all the juice cooks out of the chicken. But these little bitty pieces of chicken, they're going to cook. You can see it's already done and falling apart. So in just a couple of minutes, the chicken's done. And it's breaking apart, completely cooked through. Because it was just little pieces. Maybe it took 5 minutes, I'm not sure. If you're cooking in an iron skillet, that brown stuff that gets in the bottom of the pan, oh, it's just so good. And you don't need to worry about it if it starts to stick just a little bit, because when we pour our broth or our water, whichever one you're using in, it's going to bubble everything up off the bottom and there's not going to be anything left stuck at all. Okay, now it is starting to brown. The bottom of the skillet is dry. So now we can get some of that brown flavor, and you get that in there just by letting it cook and stirring it a little bit. This is kind of like the best of a fried dish and a casserole. You hear that sizzle there, you know it's going to be good because it's fried, but then you still have that warm, comforting casserole. So it's a really good dish. And like I said, change out the vegetables. If you're not a broccoli fan, change it out with peas and carrots or corn and green beans. Either one will work in this. The cheese is optional whether you do it at all or not. But with the broccoli, I really like the cheese. Of course, I really like it without the cheese too. I usually add a little extra butter if I don't do the cheese. Now we're starting to get the sticking, and I actually was waiting for that because that means it's toasted. And well, I don't know if you can see it or not, but right here we've got some brown rice, and that's what I wanted. And we're going to have a little bit more brown rice in here when this is done, because as it gets done, it's going to brown on the bottom again. That just kind of gets the brown flavor mixed through the rice a little bit. Now, let's get our better than bouillon and our water ready here. The absolute cheapest way to do this, if you're on a budget, is with the bouillon cubes. You can get them for like $2 for 25 or so, and a bouillon cube is a cup, and I think this is a teaspoon per cup. It's a little bit more. I do like the flavor of it a little bit better, and I'm not even measuring it, just put enough in there to flavor it. We're going to add our water and give it a good stir to mix that bouillon in here. And we also want to make sure we unstick everything from the bottom of our pan while we're stirring this up. Lots of folks have trouble cooking long grain rice. Really, the only trick to it is making sure you have enough liquid in it, but not too much. Bring it back to a boil. Stir it a few times as you're bringing it to a boil. And then put a lid on it and cook it until it's done without stirring it. You do want to turn it down, because you don't want to burn the bottom, but you want to keep it simmering the whole time it's cooking. And this has a really nice color where we browned it. And you don't need to worry about tenderizing that chicken too, because it's going to be cooking for a good long while. I mean, it's going to be in here for like 20 minutes in your broth or your bouillon. And it's going to be really good and tender. But if you wanted to do a little pickle juice or buttermilk or something to add flavor to it, you certainly could. And like I said, any spices you want in it. Okay, now that it's boiling, just turn it down, put the lid on it, and in like 5 minutes, we're going to add our broccoli. I don't want to simmer my broccoli for 15 minutes, because if I simmer my broccoli for 15 minutes, then add cheese, then put it in the oven and brown it, which putting it in the oven and browning it is also optional, my broccoli will be total mush. So turn it down, put a lid on it, set a timer for like 5 minutes. Okay, it's been covered, or rice has been cooking about 5 minutes. Now we are not going to stir this. If you were doing like peas and carrots, you could dump them in when you put your rice in. But like I said, I don't want my broccoli to be mushy. One of the things with long grain rice is you want to cook it without stirring it. So I'm going to just take my lid off, very carefully scatter my broccoli on top of my rice and chicken mixture, and let all this steam that you see coming up here cook the broccoli. And then we're going to stir it up when we put the cheese in it. Put the lid back on it, just like that. Just quickly put it on there and let it continue to cook for at least 10 minutes. Because we're going to put it in the oven probably 10 minutes, it takes about 20 minutes to cook long grain rice. But we're going to add our cheese and we're going to put it in the oven and we're going to let it cook in the oven. So go ahead and preheat your oven to 350. We're only going to put it in there for like maybe 10 minutes at the most. You don't have to do that at all. You can just let the cheese melt in the pan, but it browns it up really nice, and everybody likes a casserole with the brown cheese on top of it. You can also put it under the broiler on low for even less time, 5 minutes or less, and brown it up that way. Because all we're doing, everything is going to be cooked here in another 10 minutes. All we're doing is just melting our cheese. Another 10 to 15 minutes. Then we're just going to melt our cheese. But anyway, give it just a few more minutes with the lid on. And like I said, don't disturb your rice. Just let that sit there. Turn it down on low. We've got this cooking on low now. If you have it on anything above low, your rice is going to burn in the bottom of your skillet. So turn it all the way down. Just want to keep it at a simmer. While we wait on our rice to finish up, let's talk for just a minute. When I put the verses in here, a lot of times I will get comments and people will say, "Oh, you said exactly what I needed to hear today." And I tell people that what I'm saying is usually something that I needed to hear. And I'm not sure how much wisdom there is in the counsel of your own voice, but the things that I talk to you about, the verses that I share with you, are usually something that I need to hear. And they're something that the Lord has laid on my heart. And what I'm going to share with you today is something that, it's some verses, and I have felt many, many times throughout my life and throughout my walk with Christ, very inadequate to be doing the things that I was doing. But in Exodus chapter 4, Moses is arguing with God and saying, no, 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 don't send me, send somebody else, because I can't talk. I don't know how to talk to these people. I can't do this. That's just not what I'm good at. And I have said that very same thing more than once. And in Exodus chapter 4, verse 11 and 12, God says to Moses, "And the Lord said unto him, Who hath made man's mouth? Or who maketh the dumb or the deaf or the seeing or the blind? Have not I the Lord? Now therefore go, and I will be with thy mouth, and I will teach thee what thou shalt say." And maybe there's somebody out there listening to this that God wants you to go do something outside of your comfort zone. He wants you to go witness to people. Maybe He wants you to go on a mission trip. Maybe He wants you to start a Bible study at work or at church or something. And you're kind of fighting it because that's not something you feel comfortable doing. It's not something that you feel like you have the ability to do. God made your mouth too, and He will teach you the things that you need to say. And, you know, like I said, that's something in my walk that has been just continual. The whole Hillbilly Kitchen was something that I did not feel capable of doing. It was not something I felt comfortable doing. And certainly talking to you about the Lord and about Scripture was not something that I felt comfortable doing. But God has taught me, and I have grown into it, and it has very much become who I am. But now I'm doing this new thing. If you've been following the live streams and the videos about Helene, again, I'm way out of my comfort zone. I've been saying since I started it, I have no idea what I'm doing. I just kind of jumped in with both feet, and I'm waiting for God to show me what to do. I'm outside of my job description, but God wants us outside of our job description sometimes. Just go. He says, go, and I will teach you. I'll be with you, and He is. So if God's wanting you to do something, do it. Okay, let's see how this is going. Now, if you want to add cheese, oh my goodness, that broccoli looks good. And if we had put it in there sooner, it would have just been mushy. Look how pretty bright and green that is. And, you know, we could not stir this up at all, which I really like the way it looks, but we're going to stir it up. We're going to put half of our cheese in here and stir it up, and then we're going to put the other half on top of it. And, you know, the cheese, like I said, is optional. You could just serve it just like this. I mean, that really looks good. But cheesy rice, you know, who don't love it? So let's put about half of this in here and give it a stir. Oh my goodness, it's stuck together. We'll put the stuck together part in there for sure. What did I do with my pot? Oh, lost it. Okay, yep, I figured we'd have some brown rice on the bottom. That stuff that's on the bottom, see that it's really brown. I want that in mine. I have seen people that don't like to get that off the bottom of their skillet and put it in their rice, but I do. I don't know why anybody would not want to. And I tell you what, I'm going to show y'all another little trick. I am going to add just about a quarter of a cup of water. You could also do a tablespoon or so of butter. But what that's going to do is it's going to loosen all this up out of the bottom. Kind of deglaze the skillet with it there. Make it easier to wash your skillet too. You leave all that on there and just scoop that out when you're serving dinner, you'd never get this skillet clean. We're kind of pre-washing the skillet with that there. Very carefully kind of stir this cheese and broccoli in here. And you can tell the broccoli is done because it's breaking all up now. But you can also see, look at there how clean the bottom of my skillet is. That 1/4 cup of water got everything that was stuck on the bottom out. Now that we've got it stirred up good and we've got everything stuck off the, or unstuck from the bottom of the skillet, we're just gonna kind of spread it out a little bit. And then we're gonna add the other half of our cheese and put it in the oven and brown it. Or if you're in a great big hurry or it's summertime and you don't want to turn the oven on, we're just gonna put the other half of our cheese on top and put the lid on and melt it. So whichever way, whether you want to put it in the oven and brown it or you just want to melt it on the stovetop, you can do it. This is thick cut cheese, and I usually get the stuff that's kind of finer. And this is a blend. It's just what I had. You can use cheddar. This has cheddar and Monterey Jack and some queso. Now let's stick this in the oven and brown it. And it'll literally just take a minute. Oh my goodness. Now I actually use my broiler on low for about 3.5 minutes. And you can see what 3 or 3.5 minutes did in the oven. That is absolutely gorgeous with that brown bubbly cheese on top of it. And it's got the broccoli in there and, you know, the rice and the chicken. And it is a complete meal all by itself. You can serve it with some garlic bread, some rolls. You could do a garden salad. Or just maybe some kind of fruity dessert would be really good with it, and nothing on the side at all. One of these days I'm going to have to show y'all how to make hillbilly garlic bread. It's super cheap. But maybe you could leave some comments if you want to see that. That would be a good live stream cooking thing. But we might try that. Anyway, let's see what this looks like. I'm going to show it to you. I don't always even scoop stuff out, but I want you to see what this looks like. With chicken prices being what they are, casseroles and skillet meals and things like that are kind of how we're going to be eating chicken. Oh gosh, yep, there goes the cheese stringing as it's falling off. Oh my goodness. It's stuck to the spatula. If we let it sit just a little bit longer, it should come out a little bit cleaner. I mean, this literally just came out of the oven. But that brown cheese and the gooey cheese in with the rice, it just looks so good. This is very close to the best chicken casserole dish I think I have ever eaten. And it is 30 minutes on the table. You can make it for under $10. You know, a pound of chicken in it. And feed your whole family dinner in 30 minutes for $10. And these days and times, you just can't hardly beat that. And it's good food. It's got real vegetables in it. It's got real meat in it, real cheese in it. And, you know, if you need to cut it a couple of dollars, skip the cheese. Certainly using the bouillon cubes saves you a couple of dollars over using chicken broth. And always get that fresh chicken when it's on sale, because it is just outrageous when it's not. Watch those grocery store sale papers. They're gonna like be your best friend. And you could even use canned chicken in this, or frozen. I mean, if you can get it frozen on sale, you can definitely use the frozen. Just chop it up, let it thaw out a little bit and chop it up. You don't even have to let it completely thaw to cut it. Chicken cuts, I think, a little bit easier if it's partially frozen. But let it thaw out before you cook it, because if you cook frozen meat, it's always tough. And, you know, you could throw some canned chicken in here, a couple of cans with your onion, and kind of brown it up a little bit, and then add your rice and stuff. And you can make this even with canned chicken. So buy your chicken on sale, whether it's frozen, fresh, or even canned. It works in this recipe. And this is a really, really good weeknight dinner that won't break your budget. Thank you so very much for joining us in the Hillbilly Kitchen. If you want to see more of these budget-friendly recipes, leave us a comment and we'll try to get more of them up. Please share our videos with your friends, and if you haven't already, don't forget to click like and subscribe before you leave. And until next time, remember to put God first.